Welcome to another video here at Back to Classics, and today we're going to dive into the wheels and more specifically the brakes, the drum brakes. Now, if you're working on a project like this, of course you can check out our website if you need any parts or tools or any other bits that you might need. And of course you can contact us with all your questions, and we will make sure to help you out as best as we can. So let's dive into how we set up drum brakes and what is needed to do that. So a set of prepared wheels and brake parts that we see here. Specific for the later models on the single cylinders were these double-sided brake shoes. On each side a double brake shoe is fitted, and that we're going to prepare today, and as well as the one for the rear on the right side of the bike. So of course these hubs have been prepared. They've been newly polished together with the outer rim. New spokes are fitted in there, so it's all good to go. New Dunlop tires fitted, and now important here is that there are no ridges, no grooves in there, and it's perfectly smooth in order to get the most of the friction material to the outer drum. This is a steel inserted bit, so this part is steel. Inside the aluminium casted hub, and that steel surface needs to be perfectly smooth, of course. And now the whole aim for this type of work when we fit new brake shoes is to match the brake shoes to the exact size of the drum, to get the correct size of the shoes so that the brake is functioning as best as it can. Many people today are used to driving with disc brakes, hydraulic disc brakes, of course, and well, they maybe think that the setup of the drum brakes has less braking power, but I can assure you that if especially a four-leading shoe front brake like this, if it's set up correctly, it is a wonderful thing to drive. The feel is a little bit different, so you need to be aware of that, and you need to get used to driving with a drum brake compared to a disc brake. But I can, like I said, assure you that the braking, the stopping power is quite good. So, like I said, we're going to fit the brake shoes to the outer covers, and then we take it a step further. So here we have all the parts laid out, and here is our set of new brake shoes to be fitted. Now you can either buy new brake shoes, for these brakes are still available, but if they're not available, we can also make sure to place new friction material on the aluminium brake shoes. So that, in fact, it's of course the same job to be done, but here you can see a new surface here on the brake shoes. And the whole idea behind the manufacturer making these are that these are too large, so they won't fit. When we put them on the plates, they won't fit inside the hub. So what we need to do is to take material off of here and to get that within a clearance of the brake hub that you see there. So that is what we're going to do. So first we're going to fit it preliminary actually on the outer brake plate and see what size we have. So let's do that. In order to, we need this part in a moment when we put it on the lathe. So just put a larger bolt in there. I could show you in a moment why that is needed. And then we have the cam, of course. These all have been newly zinc plated. Going in like that, and then we can fit the brake shoes, always making sure that the spring, the open side, is to the bottom, that it doesn't hit the drum when turning. So now this is always a bit of a job, always get a screwdriver, but there it goes. So there we have fitted the brake shoes to the outer plate. Now we need the cam, so we just put this on, and then we can actually see how the brake functions. So every time you pull the lever, this is what happens. So the cam opens up, the two brake shoes, and they go outside into the brake hub on the wheel, making sure that the friction material is pushed against the brake hub, and that makes for the stopping of the bike. Now we need a certain clearance. Of course, the size of the outer diameter of the brake shoes needs to be a little smaller than the actual size of the brake hub. Otherwise, it would break constantly, and we only want it to break when we pull the lever. So the clearance that we always set the brake hub to is 1 millimeter on either side. So for that, we need two shims that we see here. These are two simple rings, simple washers of 1 millimeter in thickness. And what I do then is I move the cam, and I just place the washer in there, and one on the other side as well. There we go. So, and then with a screwdriver I can push it a little bit further to make sure that it is in the right place. So now on the cam there are two 1 millimeter washers on either side, making the outer diameter a little bit larger than it usually was. That's giving us the clearance. Now we need a caliper, quite a large one, and then we're going to measure what size diameter we actually have here. And looking closely, I see that we are at 182 millimeters outer diameter. And that size needs to be exactly the same as we find on the inside, the inner diameter of the hub, after it has been machined to get this smooth surface on the brake hub. So we're going to also measure that one. And I immediately see it's a little bit smaller. Look at it very closely. That is 180, a little over it, so I would say 180.1, about that size. So it's 180 and a little bit over there, 182 on here. So we need to take off 2 millimeters of the outer material to get the absolute clearance what we need. And that is going to be done on the lathe. So we moved over to the lathe, and we have made sure that the brake shoes on the brake plate are fitted to the lathe and are actually turning with it. So here you can see how that is done. And now we're going to take off the material until we get to that 180 millimeters in diameter on the outside of the brake shoes. So I'm doing a first run to make sure where the 0 is. Set it here at 0. And then we do a final measurement before we're going to take off more material. $182. So we need to go a little bit further. So we're at 181, 1 millimeter. And we are there. Yes, perfect. It does make a mess. Okay, so now we have determined the outer diameter of this set of brake shoes. Now, final job here is to make sure the edges, because the wheel is will be turning in this direction, and when the brake is applied and the shoes go outward, this edge here could be, well, it's important to get a good feel on the brake lever when you pull it, that it is not biting too much inside the brake shoe. So always make sure that the edge here, that is grind down a little bit, especially on this one, because here it will be first to take the shoe and the other one in the other direction. But we'll make sure that all the edges, so all 4 edges, are grind down a little bit. And we did it with an old-fashioned file, so let's get that out. So these edges here, we need to make sure that these are ground down a little bit. Okay, so this one is done. Now let's see if it fits the drum. So now with the brake outer plate done, we need to remove the 2 shims that we have fit in there earlier. So here is one, because that is the clearance that we were looking for. And here is the other one. There we go. And now it should perfectly fit this hub, which it does. So let's see if we get a well-functioning brake on this side. Okay, now and just to make sure the wheel is turning, and when I pull on the lever, that is a braking. And it's braking very well. So that's one side done, 2 to go. One on the other side of this rim, of course, and then the rear wheel before we can put it all together on the bike. So with both sides of the brake, the front brake now machined and good to go, I was able to fit it all together. Now we have here the finished front wheel with the brake setup, as well as the rear wheel. Also with the brake set up and adjusted, and good to go. So more in general, be sure to check out our YouTube channel as well as our website, of course, where you can find a lot of information on classic Ducatis parts. Be sure to contact us if you need any advice on new purchases or perhaps restorations that you're working on. We'll sure be able to help you out with a lot of questions you might have. So that concludes another video here at Back to Classics. Thank you very much for watching. Toodaloo-dokie. See you next time.